Story 1. Some people will do anything to avoid coming to grips with the fact that they hurt you. They will come up with all kinds of rationalizations and squirm away from the facts to make it seem like the hurtful actions were your fault. Story 2. A harsh reality I learned later in life is that not everyone will reciprocate the kindness or effort you extend to them. Instead, focus on your values and actions, knowing that genuine connections will naturally form with those who appreciate and respect you. Story 3. Health is wealth. Take care of yours like your life depends on it, because it does. When your health declines, your quality of life diminishes, and it is no joke. Story 4. Some people are just straight up dumb, like genuinely stupid. Stop trying to make them think like you. All you are doing is reinforcing that they might be right. Just go about your day. Story 5. Never make assumptions when making a financial deal. The goalposts will always shift when the money comes into view. Always draw up a signed memorandum of understanding at the outset, even and perhaps especially when dealing with your family members. Story 6. It's okay to cut people from your life if all they bring is drama and negativity. Be kind to yourself, and it's okay to say no if you don't agree with someone instead of trying to be a people pleaser. Story 7. You can't stop. What I mean by that is you have to keep going to the gym, working hard, fixing stuff that breaks, putting effort into your romantic relationship, and so on. Other than dying, it never ends. You have to keep going, otherwise bills will eat you alive, your friends and partner will leave, and everything in your life will fall apart. Story 8. Getting an education and experience is no guarantee of success. I should have learned to play the game instead of thinking that being good at my job was the way up. Story 9. You will stagnate if you stop pushing yourself. If you spend too much time being comfortable and coasting, you may wonder what you could have accomplished if you really tried. Story 10. A lot of people are just mean. There is no reason behind it. They are just unpleasant individuals who want to ruin your day. The sooner you realize people are mean, the better. Story 11. When you're a child, you think if you become successful, you will finally get love from your parents. Then you grow up and become successful, and they still don't love you. It's harsh, but it's true. Some of us will never get to experience the type of parental love that others do in this life and have to come to terms with it. Story 12. Soft skills are more important in your career. Many, if not most, people will take advantage of you if you're not paying attention. Most people have some form of personality disorder or addiction that will get worse over time and become a serious problem. Be extremely careful about who you marry. That decision will have the biggest impact on your financial well-being. Stop caring if people like you or not. Care if you like yourself. Develop some passions or interests in life and indulge in those. Story 13. Sometimes you won't get closure for that thing that means the world to you. Sometimes that wound takes years to heal, and it is pain that resonates even after you've healed. The biggest lesson I've learned in life is through all the pain and suffering is to be patient with yourself. When you learn to do that, it'll be easier to work on yourself in the long run. Story 14. You do not have to like your family. Spend as much or as little time as you want with them. You cannot change people. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. You are what you eat. There is always going to be someone else who has what you want, but you are better off minding your own business and working on yourself. Jealousy will ruin you. You do not know what problems other people keep behind closed doors. Love is not always enough to keep a relationship alive. You cannot make everyone happy. There is nothing new under the sun. Life is a big cycle. Story 15. Everything is temporary. The older you get, the more loss you will experience. Youthful pastimes and traditions, friends and loved ones. The loss all starts to pile up the older you get. Story 16. That oftentimes, no matter how much you eat right, exercise, follow all the rules of good health, you will still end up crushingly sick and disabled. Being sick is not the fault of the person who is sick. Sometimes you just lose the lottery. Story 17. Some people will deliberately try and mess things up for you for no reason. People can be peevish, and if you're happy and successful or excelling in something, they'll try and ruin it even if they're doing well themselves. Story 18. Having health problems or otherwise being vulnerable will very quickly reveal who your family, spouse, and friends really are, and how they really feel about you. Story 19. Everyone lives life at their own pace. You are not entitled to things because they are happening to everyone around you. There are lessons to be learned along the way, and everyone is dealing with unseen struggles. So be patient. Story 20. Rising above it and being the bigger person just don't work sometimes and leave you vulnerable because some people think that when you give them an inch, they can take a mile. So it is, unfortunately, necessary sometimes for the claws to come out to protect you and yours. Also, justice is not a foregone conclusion, and no one cares about justice for you the way you do. In that struggle, you are effectively on your own. Sure, people will represent you for a price, but you are on your own. Story 21. Anyone can become chronically ill or disabled at any time, through no fault of their own. It highlights how deeply rooted ableism is in almost every single facet of life. I've also realized how genuinely uncomfortable most people are when it comes to chronically ill people. I feel we often represent a reality that many people don't want to believe is true, which is that you can do everything right and still end up incurably ill and be suffering without a fix. It's been a rude awakening for sure, especially as someone who spent the first 21 years of my life able-bodied and healthy. No one who knew me before I got sick knows how to relate to me at all anymore, and I'm still constantly surprised by the amount of condescension, minimization, and even aggression I am met with when I speak about my experience as a chronically ill person. I think that, again, the idea that you could, through no fault of your own, have your life completely shattered is too scary for some people to grapple with, so they find a way to shift the blame onto us. Obviously, we must have done something to deserve this, and it could never happen to them because they're better or smarter or whatever. It's dehumanizing, and it sucks. There have been a lot of other things that my perspective has dramatically shifted on, as becoming disabled as an adult is really a pull back the curtain moment on the way many things normally operate, but the social aspect and the alienation from peers has been one of the hardest parts for me personally. Story 22. That my parents would never be what I needed them to be. Learning that they didn't really care about me and wouldn't help me at my lowest point was pretty eye-opening. My dad probably wouldn't skip a beat when it comes to helping his other family, but for me, he was cold and callous. I remember just crying on the phone while my dad and stepmom made jokes on the other end. I finally was able to accept it, even though it still hurts sometimes. Story 23. Pretty privilege. We all treat pretty people better and unattractive people worse. Don't start with the idea that no one is unattractive. Humans are made that way, and I just hate it. Story 24. That people don't always mature when they grow up and choose to do the right thing. The constant lying and perversions done by pastors has astonished me. I always knew that a lot of them were hypocrites, but I had no idea that it was nearly all of the known ones. Story 25. You did not exist for millions of years. You are born, you have a bunch of sensory experiences, then you are dead forever. How you choose to view those experiences is entirely up to you. You can be a victim, a protagonist, whatever. Nature is entirely indifferent to your existence, and in 3 generations, everything about you will be forgotten. Story 26. If you do not die young, you will likely end up weak and fragile as your health fades. If you make it to your 90s, most of your family and friends will probably be dead. Story 27. Not all parents will love their children. It still hurts to know that my parents do not really love me. Yes, they provided for me financially when I was a child. Yes, they gave me food and shelter. But they are not really there for me emotionally. They gaslight me, underestimate me, look down on me, do not let me voice my opinion, call me names, and so on. Story 28. Some people would never change, especially those who already hurt you. If you give them another chance, they would still choose to hurt you. Some would change eventually. Never put hope in others. Just believe in yourself. Story 29. Foster the thoughts and actions of who you want to be and the life you want. And one day you'll wake up living the life of your dreams. Do the opposite and you end up creating your own hell. Story 30. The American military specifically engages in cruelty. At the highest level, there is no prevailing good in this country, only backroom deals and personal favors, as well as personal projects against individuals. The biggest and most cruel abuses in American history can be simply retrofitted as American military traditions. Story 31. Nothing I could do or not do would be good enough for my parents, and they would die hating me. It's unwise to trust someone based on their job title or uniform, and we should not teach that to our children. The middle class pays the taxes the rich don't and subsidizes the poor, who hate them all. All United States religions are fronts for pedophile networks, and pro-life is for human trafficking. Hard work and honesty don't matter in most workplaces. Story 32. You don't have as much control over life as you think you do. I spent years of my life trying to build a perfect, secure little world where I could relax. I had a successful business, a paid-off house in Southern California, and 2 wonderful children. Then COVID hit. It brought my business to the brink of failure, and it still hasn't fully recovered. I lost my daughter in 2022. My wife and I could no longer live in the house we raised her in, as it was just too difficult with all the memories. In the long run, you could have it all worked out, and the world can still disrupt your plans. The lesson I learned is that we only have a certain number of orbits around the sun, and none of us know how many those will be. So, stop wasting those orbits trying to create an illusion of a safe, secure world for yourself. Yes, you have to be smart about it and ensure you have some financial stability for your present and future self, but true security is just an illusion. I wasted a lot of years trying to achieve it. Story 33. Generally, as a man, you have to learn to be okay with being alone. There is a lot more awareness around this now, and there are plenty of avenues to find people to talk to. However, from my lived experience, a significant part of being a man is having to be strong. Can be really tough. Story 34. That peace within your life does not guarantee peace in your heart. Sometimes you will have bad days out of nowhere, sometimes it's bad weeks, months, or even a year. But time passes. Life may change you, but you can change your life. Story 35. A good crew is not defined by the absence of conflict, but by the ability to work through it. I learned this about ship crews when I started working in the maritime industry at age 37, but it applies to any business, team, or even family. Everybody gets along in this group just means that people are lying or the group has never done anything hard or both. If you've had some blow-ups and everybody can shake hands and get back to work, that's a good crew right there. Story 36. Don't get involved in anybody's business. Mind your own business. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Always follow your intuition. Story 37. Hard work doesn't always pay off. Hard work will get you in the best position to succeed. However, many other factors out of your control affect the final outcome. Story 38. Your opinion does not matter. Protesting about problems in other countries literally does not have any impact on what is going on over there. It will probably just get you arrested and trespassed. Nobody really cares what you think, and screaming and shouting about it like a child gets the same reaction as a tired parent. Just some mild reassurance, and then nothing changes, and you eventually forget about it. Even making a petition and getting 1 billion signatures works about half the time. Otherwise, it just gets denied, and then they politely tell you why they will not change, enforce, or make such and such different because of money. Story 39. You know the saying, it only takes one bad apple to ruin the bunch? The implication is that people, by and large, are decent. I think that's closer to 50-50, and that we're mostly still animals. More importantly, decency is much more subjective than I ever thought, and so the best I can do is to mind my own, take care of the people I love, and try to lead with kindness with others, but don't take it personally if it doesn't go well. Story 40. You can act with complete integrity and do everything right and still fail and get blamed for everything because other people cannot deal with their own accountability and need to create a villain to avoid taking responsibility. You can be the best person in the world, and this will still happen to you. People always claim to value honesty and integrity, but most will act dishonestly and without integrity as soon as things get tough. It's brutal to see this in people you thought you respected or loved. Finally, acting with integrity often means that you will lose. Doing the right thing is rewarded much more rarely than we were led to believe as kids. What's more, people who lie and manipulate almost always win. This was probably the toughest lesson I've had to learn in life so far, because I had to figure out, where does that leave me? Should I give up on integrity and lie or manipulate to come out on top? Or should I keep my integrity but face negative consequences? Story 41. Life isn't fair, and no matter how good of a person you are or think you are, you won't always get the things you deserve. You will constantly see foolish people get more than you because karma can be frustrating. Story 42. Every person comes into this life to learn lessons, which are different for everyone. Sometimes, no matter what you do, you will go through abuse, betrayal, and trauma. People will hurt you just for fun. Life is suffering, and there is nothing you can do but try to go through it, and hopefully, after you learn the lesson, it gets better. Story 43. Sometimes, no matter how much it hurts, you have to walk away and cut people off. If you have a relationship, whether it's a friend or family, that leaves you feeling bad about yourself, drains you emotionally, and generally treats you poorly, it's much better to cut ties. It will be hard, especially if you love that person, but it's important for your own health and sanity.